Let's get to the Utah Jazz and their efforts to trade Donovan Mitchell to the New York Knicks. And let me just ask you a point-blank question, because I think this is something a lot of people have been talking about, and justifiably so. Is Utah Jazz star Donovan Mitchell worth all of this? And when I say worth all of this, the question I'm asking is not necessarily 6 first-round picks or 4 players. You're worth what somebody's willing to pay for you, right? But is Donovan Mitchell worth all of this consternation? Is Donovan Mitchell worth all of this angst that he is putting Utah Jazz fans through at the moment? Because I think a lot of Utah Jazz fans have split feelings on Donovan Mitchell. I think there's no question everybody loves the way the guy plays the game. Everybody loves the spirit he brings to the floor. But there is an air of arrogance. There is an air of individuality. There is an air of I'm better than you when it comes to Donovan Mitchell. And I think that's a bit of a turnoff for Jazz fans. And again, in the comments section, let us know your thoughts on it. But I just ask you, is Donovan Mitchell worth all of this? From a basketball perspective, absolutely. I have no doubt about it. I've said repeatedly, I think that Donovan Mitchell is a top 15 player in this league. I think this is a massive, massive season for Donovan Mitchell. It is a prove-it year. Without question, Donovan Mitchell has to have a good season. It has to be a get-back year for him. But the arrogance, the aloof, the confidence, or an air of overconfidence from Donovan Mitchell seems to be problematic for fans, Jake, and I think it's a turnoff to a lot of Utah Jazz fans.
Yeah, I think that Donovan Mitchell has, like I've always said, has a lot of growing to do with the mental side of the game. And specifically what I mean is like in the leadership stuff and how he handles stuff off the court. Like I also think that what's interesting, like if you look at this offseason, we haven't heard word one from Donovan Mitchell. Now, maybe that's how he prefers it. Maybe it's just because he just hasn't been asked. I don't know. We have asked multiple times to interview Donovan Mitchell, and obviously it hasn't happened. But I just think that Donovan Mitchell is someone who goes about things a certain way, and that's just how it is. And I think you're right. Sometimes there are some questions from the fan base about how he operates. And I think that, as we look back on the Rudy Gobert, Donovan Mitchell era for the Utah Jazz, Donovan definitely had a big part of that. That was not all on Rudy Gobert. Donovan definitely had his fair share. So it'll be interesting to see how Donovan changes as this new team comes in, or if the trade does happen. I mean, because I think a lot of people, because the deal with the Knicks hasn't happened yet, are just kind of writing that off. And I'm telling you not to write it off per se. These things can take time. But either way, whether he's a Knick or whether he's a Utah Jazz when training camp starts, I think he has some proving to do as far as just leading a team and being sort of the center or the heart of a team. I think he hasn't really, mastered that skill yet. And all the best teams in the league have that one guy who is the heart of the team. Like if you look at Phoenix as an example, with this Deandre Ayton situation and the Suns, matching the offer sheet and basically handling business there. When you think of the Phoenix Suns, you don't think of Deandre Ayton. You think of Devin Booker. You don't think of Chris Paul. You think of Devin Booker. And I think that's what happens in Salt Lake with the Utah Jazz. Like I think everybody would agree. When you think Utah Jazz, you think Donovan Mitchell. But the problem is that Don just hasn't been able to bring his guys together the same way. Don hasn't been able to get to that next level yet. And so that's why I say, yeah, sure. Is there some arrogance? Yeah, sure. Is there some I like me some Donovan Mitchell? Yeah, sure. Definitely. But I just think that there's a lot of improvement, but that's where he's that's where he's at in his career. It's not like Donovan Mitchell is 30 and still having these issues. So there's growth to be had.
No, but you know what? I think one of the things with Don is that there has always been a grind with the media, it feels like. There has always been an uncomfortable presence around Donovan Mitchell. Like, he is not somebody that is everybody's best friend. He's not somebody, in our experience, he's not somebody that is easy to approach. And I can tell you that his agent is a guy named Ty Sullivan at CAA. Ty Sullivan is not easy to approach. Ty Sullivan is not a wanting, willing participant in phone calls. Ty is a guy that doesn't want to talk to people. Donovan Mitchell's a guy who has been dead silent this summer. And I think that goes to show you that Don knows how important this coming season is. But I think Don, at some point, Donovan Mitchell is going to have to come around to the idea that he's got to become a professional. And that's the word that I keep hearing about Donovan Mitchell. He doesn't do the job as a professional basketball player well. And I mean nothing about the way he plays the game. Donovan Mitchell doesn't play the media well. Donovan Mitchell doesn't play the community card well. Donovan Mitchell doesn't play the charity card well. Donovan Mitchell plays basketball. And in this day and age, if you want to be a star, if you want to be the stature that Donovan Mitchell, aspires to be, I think you have to do those things better. I think Donovan Mitchell needs, in my opinion, to be more public. I think Donovan Mitchell needs to be seen more. Donovan Mitchell needs to do more media. Donovan Mitchell needs to be doing, in my opinion, a weekly TV thing or a weekly radio thing. He needs to be somewhere on a regular basis. I don't understand why we don't see Donovan Mitchell on social media talking. And he is active on Instagram. He's fairly active on Twitter.
Yeah.
But you never see his face talking. You never see Donovan's personality. I think that's a problem for Donovan. And I think when you're talking about a guy that feels like he doesn't get the respect he deserves, or at least that's how it's been conveyed to me.
Yeah.
I think Donovan, if he truly is this guy that believes he needs to play in a larger market, which we've heard, and I don't believe is true, Donovan needs to be more of a personality. And I think when you're asking somebody for 6 first-round picks and 4 players, I think you need the total package. And frankly, right now, I just don't think that's who Donovan Mitchell is. Now, having said that, he is a wonderful basketball player. I think, again, Donovan Mitchell is a top 15 player in this league. And I think if the Jazz end up hanging on to Donovan Mitchell, which at this point, I still maintain that when you are asking for 6 first-round picks and 4 players, the chances of making a deal on a guy like Donovan Mitchell are not high. I think 80-20 at that asking price, Donovan Mitchell stays with the Jazz.
Right.
But, Jake, I think there's a lot more involved than just the player on the floor when you're talking about giving up 6 picks and 4 players to get a guy.
Yeah, I mean, you're giving up your entire franchise, essentially. And I'm not even exaggerating. I mean, that's most of the capital that the New York Knicks have. And I think that that's just a lot of potential now. That's a lot of future potential for Donovan Mitchell. And hey, look, if they're willing to pay, great. But clearly to this point, they haven't been willing to pay. And I think the point you made about, hey, like if you're going to give up that much, the guy you're getting back has to be, a complete player off the floor and on the floor. I think it's a really fair point, especially when you're talking about New York City. I mean, this point might be a little bit void if we were talking about Orlando, or we were talking about some small market, but this is New York Knicks we're talking about. This is Madison Square Garden. This is the basketball mecca of the world. And to have some questions, because again, I don't want to exaggerate this too much. I don't want this to turn into, well, you guys said that Donovan Mitchell hates the media. Well, we're not saying he hates the media. We're not saying that he's a problem in the media per se, but what we are saying is that he's definitely missing an opportunity with the media. There is no doubt about that. He could have easily come out on social, or he could have done a sit down with Woj, because the Utah Jazz clearly have a relationship with Woj with the podcast. Could have easily gone on a podcast and said, yeah, man, like, I'm here in Salt Lake. Like, this is my team. This is where I'm at. And obviously I can only control what I can control. That's a pretty standard answer we get out of guys, but I'd rather hear it than hear nothing, So that's why I say, like, that if I was the Knicks, I'd be, a little bit concerned. It'd be something I'd be paying attention to.
Yeah, and I think when you're asking for 6 first-round picks, and you're asking for Emmanuel Quickley, and you're asking for Quentin Grimes and Miles McBride and Obi Toppin, I mean, that is a haul. That is 10 assets that if you're the Knicks, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to give that up.
Yeah.
And for my money, and from what I was told late in the day yesterday, the Jazz and the Knicks are not close to a deal. Talks will continue. but the Knicks are not going to give up 6 first-round picks and 4 young players. That's not going to happen.
But
and frankly,
that's what we said was going to be the price. I mean,
Yeah.
that's, an astronomical, out of this world price to get Donovan Mitchell, right? That's what we told you yesterday. And if you listened yesterday, we were asked to backtrack quite a bit, and we didn't backtrack, and we're not going to backtrack now. The deal with Donovan Mitchell is, hey, we're not actively looking to trade him. We're not calling around the league to every team in the league trying to trade Donovan Mitchell. But if someone comes to us and says, hey, we're willing to give you 6 first-round picks and 4 or 5 players, well, at some point, even if it was Michael Jordan, you have to make the deal, So that's where we're at.
What is his value? What is Donovan Mitchell's value beyond what somebody will pay for him? What is Donovan Mitchell truly worth? Because let's diagnose Donovan Mitchell as a player. Donovan Mitchell as a player on the floor is a guy who I think is a 25 a night guy, 25 points a night. I think Donovan Mitchell is a guy that eventually will shoot in the high 30s from 3 on a consistent basis. And I think Donovan Mitchell is a guy that is a gifted scorer. But what Donovan Mitchell is not right now is a good defensive player. What Donovan Mitchell is not right now is a proven leader. And what Donovan Mitchell is not right now is a guy, in my opinion, that you can count on to win you a game in the last 20 seconds.
Yes.
Now, are all those things possible? Yeah, absolutely. Is he capable of being a leader? Yes. Is he capable of being a very good defender? Yes. Is he capable of hitting game-winning shots? Absolutely. But he hasn't. And that's why I will maintain Donovan Mitchell's value was damaged last season. Donovan Mitchell's value was damaged when Rudy Gobert said, hey, the championship window closed.
Mm-hmm.
Donovan Mitchell's value was damaged by that because it wasn't Rudy Gobert that was counted on to win games here. It was Donovan Mitchell. And if Don comes back, and I think there's a very likely chance he joins the Jazz for training camp. If he comes back, I think Donovan Mitchell has to have a career year. Every single metric, and not just offensive, defensive, has to go up.
Yep.
He has to come back with a mid-range. He has to come back with the ability to drive and kick without turning the ball over.
Yeah.
Donovan Mitchell's problem is he gets in the paint and he turns the ball over. And for my money, I think if you are the Utah Jazz, I think that has to get better. Because if you are going to retool versus rebuild, and I think based on what you're able to get for Donovan Mitchell, that's going to define if this is a retool or a rebuild. Because if you don't trade Don and you hang on to him, you're retooling. If you trade him, you're rebuilding. If you're getting the ask that you asked the Knicks for, if you're getting that haul, and that is 6 first-round picks, and again, quickly, Toppin, McBride, that's a rebuild.
Right.
There is no question
No
about
doubt.
that. I think the Jazz are a playoff team going to training camp if Donovan Mitchell's on the roster. But he's got to have a career year because, Jake, I think his trade value is not as high as it once was.
Yeah, and I think that the other thing that needs to be said here as far as Donovan and stats and having a career year is Will Hardy in this new system is going to put Donovan Mitchell in prime positions to score. And again,
Yes.
I'm not usually a big stat guy, like just read into the stat sheet and that'll tell you everything you need to know. I'm not usually that guy. But I think it is worth noting that Donovan Mitchell is the first player to average 20 or more points a season for his first 5 seasons since Allen Iverson. I mean, this guy is a gifted scorer, and I think that we cannot forget that. And I think that, the Quinn Snyder system, however much I did really enjoy Quinn Snyder coaching this team, one side effect of that was Donovan Mitchell was not put in positions either to score a lot in game or to have guys around him that he could assist to. And I think that side of his game is really what's going to benefit. When you think about who he's had around him from an offensive perspective, you talk about turning it over in the paint with the drive and kick thing. The problem with that is, yes, that is on Donovan, but the reason that's happening so much is not just because Donovan goes in the paint and holds onto it. It's because Donovan goes into the paint, the defense collapses on him out of respect, and he doesn't really have anywhere to go with it. I mean, yeah, sure, you probably have Bogdanovich in the corner, but it's not like he's got unreal athleticism out on the wing wide open and can get to everything. I mean, Donovan hasn't had that opportunity, and that's why I say, like, I do think his stats are going to go up. I do think this is going to be a career year. I do think that yeah, if he's on this team and he's got Vanderbilt either on the mid post or on the wing, just that alone, without Malik Beasley or anybody else, will help Donovan Mitchell. So that's why I say, like, I look at this guy's numbers, and I think that Donovan Mitchell is a stud, dude. There's no way around it. But he's got to get better defensively. He's got to lead teams better. He has to be more vocal in the media. Like everybody criticizes Kevin Durant for having thin skin and not doing great things on Twitter, but at least he's out there. At least he's accessible. Donovan Mitchell is not doing that yet.
Yeah, I don't think it is even a question that Donovan Mitchell has to grow. He has to advance in his game. And I think that it is one of those things where Donovan Mitchell has the upside. He has the potential. And if I know one thing about Donovan Mitchell, he's a grinder. He's a worker. He's a guy that's going to be in the gym. He's a guy that I have no doubt in my mind whatsoever Donovan Mitchell is going to do everything he can do to come back and win the NBA MVP this year. I have no doubt about it. That's his goal, to win an NBA championship every single year for the rest of his career. That's his goal. I want that guy on my team. And I think we talk about this on a regular basis as we talk about the very latest with Donovan Mitchell to the New York Knicks. I think we talk about this on a regular basis, and that is that Donovan Mitchell is a guy that has very high aspirations. Can the Utah Jazz meet him in the middle there? Can the Utah Jazz be the reason Donovan Mitchell wins a championship? Can Donovan Mitchell be the reason the Utah Jazz win a championship? I don't know the answer to that question. And I think that over the next 2 months, we're going to figure that out pretty quick.
I just think the Utah Jazz need to make a decision here. Like, you need to make a decision on are we going to stick with Don or are we going to trade him? Like, because the fact is the Utah Jazz are not in a position to kind of just like wait around per se. Like, when I say wait around, I want to be really clear. Yeah, sure, they can wait around weeks. Sure, they can wait around to the trade deadline. Absolutely. Yeah. But they're not in a position to sort of sit here and kind of mingle in trade land for 3 more seasons with Don. I mean, it can't go on that long. Like, you got to decide, okay, yes, for better or for worse, we're going to go with Donovan Mitchell. We're going to build around him, and it's going to happen, which is what I ultimately think they will do. I just have a tough time believing that you made the Rudy trade and got what you got back just to then go and trade Don and do nothing with it. I just have a tough time with that. But here nor there, I just think that you make the decision and then go with it, because there's going to be plenty of opportunity. And the problem is the Western Conference is deep, man. The Western Conference is deeper than the Eastern Conference, and you have to be good to get anything done.
Yep, totally agree. Let's get your comments in here. Good to see everybody. Karen Montemayor, the first one in today.
Karen, what's up?
Good to see you. Shiron26 says, good morning. Time to make that bread. Indeed it is. Lucito Diaz says, waiting for you guys. Ayton situation, how this affect Mitchell and KD trade?
That's a great question.
I think that's a very good question. And if you didn't see it, DeAndre Ayton got 4 years and $133 million you think? From the Pacers and the Phoenix Suns to match that. I think there's a very interesting question right now about the Phoenix Suns.
Yeah.
Are the Phoenix Suns still NBA title contenders? After this sheet, I don't know that I can say that. I think this will really limit what the Jazz what the Phoenix Suns are able to do the first half of the season. Because remember with this gives DeAndre Ayton a full 1 year no trade. And it also means that the Phoenix Suns cannot trade DeAndre Ayton until January 15th.
Right.
So you are married to that salary and paying that money. They're going to pay, if all things remain equal, the Suns are $30 million worth of a tax bill right now as they are $15 million into the NBA luxury tax. They're going to have to cut a check for $30 million after signing Ayton to this contract. But I don't think it was ever in doubt. I mean, they waited about 37 seconds to sign this offer sheet and match it. So they were always going to do that. I don't think there's any doubt about that. This does not mean the Phoenix Suns do not want to trade for Kevin Durant. And I think what this means is they likely won't be able to trade for Kevin Durant.
Right.
And for me, when I look at what the Suns have, yeah, I think they're still NBA title contenders. But if we're talking about guys that have to be better, DeAndre Ayton's got to be a better basketball player. And when I say that, I mean DeAndre Ayton's got to grow some balls on defense, and he's got to get meaner and tougher. And I just don't know that he's a cat that can do that. I don't know that I believe in DeAndre Ayton to show up and dunk on dudes on a nightly basis.
Right.
I don't know that I believe in DeAndre Ayton to meet some guy at the rim and body him. He's not a body snatcher. He's a guy who'd rather lay it up than dunk it. And for my money, $133 million, I don't want a guy that's happy to lay it up. I want a guy that wants to rip the rim off the wall every single day.
Yeah, I mean, logically speaking, I don't know that I would have matched that offer, but I mean, obviously, they did. They chose their path, and
I don't think you had any choice.
Well,
I don't. No. You cannot let DeAndre Ayton walk away for nothing.
Well, you can let him walk away for nothing, or you can pay $30 million in luxury tax.
Well, I think you're going to wind up trading him. There is no logic whatsoever, even a little bit, that says you let DeAndre Ayton walk away. None.
Yeah, they should have done is they should have extended him the correct way so that they don't have to deal with this no trade thing until the 1st of January.
What they should have done is they should have traded him last year. That's what they should have done, because there were whispers about them being unhappy with him before last season. They knew they were not going to sign him to a rookie extension. They knew that. So if you're not signing a guy to a rookie extension, there's an issue in place already. Why did you hang on to him? And I continue to go back to this point on just about every bad contract situation. You knew how you felt about the guy. Why didn't you do something about that? Every single time when you don't like a guy, and usually it's I don't like a guy or I do. Gordon Hayward in the Utah Jazz. Gordon Hayward was a Boston Celtic for one reason. The Jazz let him go to restricted free agency. Remember all that? What was that, back in 2014, I guess it was, or 2013, when they let him go out and kind of test the market? And
right.
When you figure out how much you are loved in the open market, that almost assuredly means you're going to leave.
Yeah.
You sealed the fate of DeAndre Ayton signing a max offer sheet the minute you didn't extend him. You had a year to trade DeAndre Ayton. Why didn't you do it? It was a mistake, in my opinion, to bring him back, because Monty Williams has made no secret about the fact he is not a DeAndre Ayton fan.
Yeah.
He is not. And in my opinion, you're going to pay him for half a season, and he's probably not thrilled to be there. I think DeAndre Ayton, if he had his ways, would much rather be an Indiana Pacer than a Phoenix Sun.
But I have to say, on the other side of that, he is getting paid now, so the money thing is no longer, a problem. Either way, you're going to get paid, and I think that I think that the issue is, to your point, Monty Williams just doesn't love him some DeAndre Ayton. And I get it, man. I understand it. When you're playing for a championship and DeAndre Ayton is still dropping the ball in the middle of the paint, yeah, that's really frustrating.
Yeah, he's not a great catcher of the ball, that's for sure.
It's frustrating as hell, and I think that they know they had a window to win a championship, and they didn't, and now it's time to figure out how you're going to do that again.
Do you think it's close? Because Dre says Ayton is a 20-10 guy at center with good defense. DeAndre Ayton is not a good defensive player.
But he is 20-10. That's the problem.
Well, but so is Rudy Gobert. But my point is that when you look at guys and you look at the strength and weaknesses of guys on an individual basis, and in talking specifically about DeAndre Ayton, yeah, he may be a 20-10 guy offensively. The issue with DeAndre Ayton is you cannot count on him in the biggest moments.
Yep.
And DeAndre Ayton is soft. You can have him physically because he is soft. And you look at a guy like look what Indiana's got now in Miles Turner. Miles Turner is a very limited player, right? Well, would you rather have an offensive juggernaut? Well, hell yeah. In this league, I'd rather have DeAndre Ayton than Rudy Gobert. I don't think there's any question about that. But what I'm also not willing to do is have a guy in DeAndre Ayton that when the game is on the line in the NBA Finals 2 years ago, and when the game was on the line against Dallas and you're looking at elimination and you're trying to save your lives, you can't count on DeAndre Ayton.
I'm screwed.
Well, yeah, what is the value of a 20-10 guy who in the last 5 minutes is scared to touch the basketball?
Yeah.
What's the value in that guy?
Yeah.
So when you say, hey, he's 20-10 and a good defender, he's not a good defender. Trust me. When he's 20-10 and you can't count on him in the clutch, let's come back and revisit this conversation. And the question will be, does that ever change with DeAndre Ayton? Tell me the player in the history of the NBA, Dre. Tell me the player who has been soft and has been his toughness and his manhood has been questioned openly on the bench by his coach, who's rebounded to become a tough, manly player.
Yeah, no, that's not going to happen.
Because those guys don't exist.
And the problem is, DeAndre Ayton in today's NBA is a max player. That's the problem. Like maybe, 10 years ago?
Yeah.
DeAndre Ayton wouldn't be a max player. And that's the thing, and that's, not to belabor this point, but I think that's what's so fascinating with the league right now. Like, you have guys like DeAndre Ayton, because they have the stats, are max players.
Yes.
But they're not actually max players on the floor.
I'm not paying DeAndre Ayton, what is that, $30 million a year, $133 million over 4 years? I mean, I'm not paying him $33 million. I'm not doing that.
Yeah, 33 and a quarter.
Yeah, I'm not doing that. That's crazy. I mean, I don't know what you think.
Yeah, I mean, I think that
I'm not doing that.
if I'm the Phoenix Suns, I'm not doing it. But again, but this is the other side of the conversation. The Indiana Pacers are more than happy to do it, and that's the thing. And that's why I say, I just can't believe that the Phoenix Suns put themselves in this position without a plan in place. That's the thing.
That's craziness. And this was just bad decision making. And James Jones has gotten very little wrong in Phoenix.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he could have done better on this DeAndre Ayton thing. I do, and I do think it handicaps you from making a Kevin Durant trade. I do. Caleb says, "Are you guys shading Don and Ayton to hedge your bets?" LOL, my man. I'm not shading Don at all, but I am. I'm a little surprised we haven't heard from Donovan Mitchell. I'm a little surprised. And, everybody freaks out about his cryptic tweets. They're not cryptic tweets. They're music lyrics.
I'm not trying to be cryptic.
I don't think he's a cryptic tweet guy. But what Donovan Mitchell is he's a guy I think who doesn't understand his reputation. That's what I think. I mean, I obviously like Donovan Mitchell a lot. As a player, I love what the guy brings to the floor. I'm ready for now to see some leadership. I'm ready now to see some absolute alpha male just come out. Whip that thing out and let's measure it, man. Let's see who you really are, Donovan Mitchell, because we need to see leadership. This guy, and again, I will just be brutally honest about Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell's got to show me two things this year: that he can murder folks in the mid-range game, and that he wants to play defense.
Can you measure it?
Not that you can. Donovan, show me you want to play defense.
Yes.
That's what I want to see. I know you can kill people in the mid-range. Show me.
Every day.
Show me now. I know you can defend, but show me now. Prove me right. Validate my feelings that you're a top 15 player. Show me you can be a leader. Rudy was the problem? Okay, well, now he's Minnesota's problem.
Time to prove it.
What are you, Don? Are you an asset or a liability? Those are the questions he's got to ask as a basketball player. And if that upsets Donovan Mitchell, you're not a professional, because every single player in this league should be asked those questions.
Yeah, and all
every
the guys,
single one.
Dude, all the guys in his generation have gone through it. Jason Tatum went through this.
Yes.
Devin Booker went through this. Jaylen Brown, to an extent, went through this, So that's why I say, these questions should not be taken as, you're criticizing Don. These are on-point questions. These are reasonable questions. These are questions that any great player would be asked. Hey, LeBron, bro, you've been to the finals 10 times and only won 4 times. That's a problem.
Yeah.
What proving do you have to do in year 20?
Yeah, I
every
think
guy goes through it.
I think it's very interesting. Spencer D says, "Saw dudes,
Suh, dude.
Saw dude,
Saw, dude.
saw dude." Spencer says, "Can we get a shoe collection vid, Monty?" If you follow me on Twitter and Instagram, you see that I put I'm a big shoe guy. Yeah, saw dude. And by the way, every one of those is a size 15.
Oh, man.
I am a Jordan and Air Max 90 guy for anybody who cares. I collect I probably am pushing 100 pairs of Jordans. I'm probably 30 pairs of 90s. And I have I have various other shoes that are in that. I have some dunks, but you have one pair of dunks, you have 100 pair of dunks. So yeah, I mean, if follow me on Instagram and Twitter, and you, there's
the deal. I'm the best there is.
There's a ton of those. So yeah, there you go. Good morning. Ramsey's 10 says, just odd to lose Bolt before the All-Star game. Just fits with the rebrand. Boy, ain't that the truth. Let's see. Cass Coolin says, is that problem to be reversed? LOL, he is young. Reserve. Is that problem to be reserved? LOL, he is young. Don is young.
No, I think that's an Ayton reference. A reference to Ayton being soft and not being tough.
Yeah, I don't think you fixed that. New York Jazz fan, good morning to you, friend. If you want to be a superstar, the media game is important. If Don does not like the media interaction, he will hate New York City media. Boy, ain't that the truth.
Yeah, and I think
that the truth.
That's the tough part, and it's so funny, and I'm not even meaning to be tongue in cheek about it, but like all this Zach Wilson stuff has been going on. Well, who does he play for? He plays for the Jets, dude. He's in the middle of media world.
And the New York tabloids are the ones that picked it up. You look at the Page 6, the Washington or the New York Post are the ones that picked it up.
Yeah.
So New York City is, I'll tell you, New York City and Chicago are two of the tough media markets to play in because they don't pull punches. And this is one of the things I say about Donovan Mitchell is, bro, if you're having trouble with the media in Salt Lake City, and Donovan's gone after several people in the media here, but if you're going after guys in the media here, what's Donovan Mitchell going to do in New York?
Yeah.
Because there's only so much time for Donovan to be New York's homecoming favorite son.
Yep. What
did they do to Stephen Marbury? Right? I mean, understand where you're going here because you're not going to win with the Knicks. It's just not going to happen. So I think that's a great point, New York Jazz fan. He says, Rec 1, I agree 100% that Donovan and the media thing. Yep. Gabe Ledley, hello. He says, my brothers from another mother and sisters from other misters. What's good? What's up, dude? What's up, dude? Rec 1 says Don needs to improve his communication. I agree with that. Cast Coolin says Booker is in public and is just as much of a star, ? But Book is measured. And Donovan Mitchell and Devin Booker are totally different profiles. Devin Booker is a guy that's on a $50 million a year deal, essentially. He's a guy that's a superior player to Donovan Mitchell.
Luxury taxed.
But you look at Devin Booker's got a huge Nike deal.
Yeah.
Devin Booker has been to the NBA Finals. Devin Booker is dating actresses and models. Devin Booker is a car guy. Devin Booker's got a persona.
What is Don?
What is Donovan's persona?
What is his thing?
But that's my question. When I look at Donovan Mitchell, what is Donovan Mitchell's it factor? I don't know. I have no idea. What is Devin Booker's it factor? My man can pull him chicks.
His dog, his house,
his cars,
his black Ferrari, his old school
his
cars.
His retro cars. And by the way, his relationship with Kobe, Devin Booker is cemented.
Oh, by the way, did anybody see he's on the cover of 2K coming out?
Devin Booker's a made guy.
Yeah.
I don't know what Donovan Mitchell is because Don is younger. He hasn't been in the league as long. He has not achieved at the level that Book has achieved at. I think these are all really important questions about Donovan Mitchell. And the other thing is, Donovan Mitchell just hasn't developed a brand. And by the way, and this is going to sound like me being a jerk. Yes, I'm a Nike guy. Don rocks Adidas. Donovan Mitchell rocks Adidas. You don't know what his shoe looks like. I could put two Adidas shoes on the table, and you couldn't pick his shoe out.
What does Donovan Mitchell's shoe deal even look like?
I don't even know. And, but that's my point. That's my point. No, Donovan Mitchell, I don't believe is a guy who's done anything wrong. And I want to be really clear about this. I don't think that Donovan Mitchell's done anything wrong. But with Cass Coolin's comment about comparing Don to Devin Booker, they're two totally different profiles. Devin Booker's never been a problem in the locker room. Devin Booker's never been perceived to be a problem in the locker room. Donovan Mitchell was perceived to be part of the problem last year. Devin Booker's a guy who on the floor is one of the best young players in the NBA. Donovan Mitchell is not perceived in that light. You look at, again, profiles, hot chicks and models, retro cars and Ferraris, big dogs, huge shoe contract. That's Devin Booker. I don't know what Donovan Mitchell profiles to. I don't know what his off-court passions are.
Yeah.
I don't know. I know he's a huge Mets fan. That's cool. I know he likes to hang out in Connecticut and at the shore and
at Brickley's gym.
but he hasn't built that yet.
Yeah.
And I think this is a huge part of becoming a professional in 2022. You have to build that persona. You have to become a personality. Whether you're doing media hits all the time or not, okay, that's cool. Devin Booker never does media hits. But he's got a persona and a personality. Having covered Devin on a daily basis, he is an easy guy to talk to. He is an easy guy to approach. He's likable. He's everything you want. Donovan Mitchell is not approachable. Donovan Mitchell is I think he's likable. I think Donovan Mitchell's likable, but I'm telling you, this off-court thing is real. This off-court thing is real. Cass Coolin also says, I don't understand why they act in he has to do with this when Kawhi and Booker and a couple of others don't.
Because
Kawhi Leonard
they've
has won multiple championships.
Jesus.
Kawhi Leonard has achieved on the floor.
And look at the way he's done it. That's the thing.
Cass, you really think Donovan Mitchell's on those guys' level?
There's not a chance.
You really, and forget Kawhi Leonard, he's one of the best players in the NBA. When he's healthy, granted. But he's one of the best players in the NBA, and he's got multiple rings. So what I'm asking you is, do you really put Donovan Mitchell in that conversation? We can pull out all the guys who don't do media, and the list is long.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Durant, that's why it was so refreshing to see Kevin Durant on David Letterman's show, but what does Kevin Durant also do? Kevin Durant's got a show. Kevin Durant has a video presence. Kevin Durant gets it. Kevin Durant has one of the better shoe lines. Kevin Durant has one of the better life stories. Kevin Durant has, he does all kinds of multimedia stuff.
Yeah.
Kevin Durant gets it, but he's also won, and he's achieved at a very high level. He can do whatever he wants, right? So what I'm asking you is, cast specifically, you really put Donovan Mitchell in that conversation? I don't think you do. And I am the guy, by the way, I'm the guy who's always been accused of being a Don Homer and you like him too much. And I'm cool with that. I am a Don Homer. I am a Don evangelist. I believe in the guy.
Right.
He needs to develop his personality more. He needs to build a brand. I know what KD is. I know what the Claw is. I know what Book is. If he gets traded to New York, is he the Don of New York? Not right now, he's not.
Yeah.
Not right now, he's not. If he stays in Utah, he's comfortable. I think one of the reasons that he's not demanding a trade, he knows he can fly under the radar a little bit in Salt Lake City. If you're a New York Knick, you are not flying under the radar.
Nope.
If they give up, let's just say they gave up 6 picks. Again, let me put the banner back on the screen. Do you understand what the Utah Jazz asked for? Hey, bro, look at that banner right there. That's 6 first-round picks and 4 top young players in the Knicks organization.
Dude.
Let's say you make that trade. You're flying under the radar? Are you? There's no such thing as that. Ask Eddie Curry. You flying under the radar? Not in New York, you're not. I'm telling you. I love Donovan Mitchell. I am a Don supporter and believer. He's got to develop a persona. He's got to develop a profile. I just don't think there's any doubt about that. And we can go round and round about this, and I'm happy to have the conversation. But I just think it's one of those things where you have to figure out who you are. Monty Source. I've created this back channel way for us to communicate through live chat. You and Jake are the only ones that can see this. Yeah, unfortunately, that's not the case.
Wait, hold on. Wait,
yes.
Monty Source. So what information do you have for us? What do you have for us?
Yeah, if you're our source, you're supposed to be
nobody. You're right. Nobody else can see it, right? What's the information you have?
Yeah, give us the 411, please. Chris Simmons says Luka and Jokic are even more boring with no brand, though.
But I have to disagree. Luka's got a brand, bro. He's the guy that dominated Europe, came over, and is one of the best players in the league.
And again, Jordan Brand building around Luka Doncic. The face, that ugly, twisted face that I want to put my fist through, there are far fewer more popular players than Luka Doncic right now.
Yeah.
Like, there are a lot more popular players than Donovan. There are not many more popular players than Luka. Anybody sell more jerseys than Luka in Europe? Not many. That kid's got a brand and a story.
And he's known as a winner.
And by the way, I don't know if you know this, Jokic has a couple of really nice trophies on his shelf. That guy's an MVP.
Bro, Jokic is being covered so tightly. When he went home and he had his MVP trophy, he rolled up on like a horse and cart to his house. That's how tight he's being covered back home.
And Luka's got media branding.
Yeah.
He's got a ton of media branding. You know, like it just is, I don't know. Let's see. Cass Coolin says, LOL, DM won a dunk contest and his persona is Spida. What does Spida mean?
What does that even mean, though?
But this is the thing that, and Cass Coolin, I feel like we're arguing over Donovan Mitchell. I'm a Don supporter. But it's very difficult to say that he has any kind of persona or brand. I mean, what does that mean?
He's the guy in Salt Lake. That's what he is.
What does Spida mean? Explain that to me. What is behind that brand? Because I can tell you all about Luka's brand. Luka's mom. Luka played when he was in, I believe.
Luka's mom.
I believe Luka signed his first contract when he was boiling in his dad's bag. Like, the guy's been playing basketball since he was a kid.
Yeah.
The guy's a prodigy. He come on. Like, are you kidding me?
He was breaking dudes off in Jordan 11s in the EuroLeague championship, bro.
Jeremy Bolton says, even Caruso has a brand as the most overrated player in NBA history. I'm the 264th viewer in today. Deal with it. Love you.
That's a new record for you, Jeremy.
Love you. Lucida Diaz says, Booker is an upgrade. Is it upgrade Clarkson? Because everything Book has with JC on the Lakers' time, Kendall Ferrari, fashion and loved by NBA players. Okay, I'm not. I think Devin Booker is Devin. I think Devin Booker's top 10.
That's a really rough take to say he's an upgraded JC. Come on, guy.
I think Devin Booker. One, he's the best player on the Suns. There's no doubt about that. Two, I think he's top 10. I'd love to make the fight he's top 5, but I don't think I can right now. But Devin Booker is top 10.
Yeah.
Like, he's close. Like,
and that's not just us saying it. I think most of the league agrees.
If he averages 40 points from 3, 40% from 3, 40 points from 3. If he averages 40% from behind the arc, and if he continues to grow his defense, because Book's gotten much better the last year in defense.
Yeah.
The sky's the limit. He needs to win a ring. He needs to win a ring. And by the way, I still maintain when that thing gets melted down in Phoenix, and I think it will, I think he goes to the Lakers. I think he is the next, in my opinion. Devin Booker could potentially be the next great Laker because he wants it. There's no doubt he wants it. I think he could be the next great Laker. Let's see. One round less says, thinking about it, I don't really mind a rebuild if it's done right. Draft a Jokic, Luka level talent, find some blue chip prospects, and a dynasty is created. We could find the next Shaq and Penny. Maybe, but
there's risk.
But there's a lot of risk because let's not forget the two teams you would have traded with. The Timberwolves are going to win a championship, in my opinion. They'll be close. Anthony Edwards will likely determine if they win or lose. I am curious to see what these picks turn into.
I want to see the T-Wolves get past the Eastern Conference Finals, to be honest with you. I want to see what that team looks like altogether.
I think they're now better than Philly. The question is, what does Milwaukee come out and look like this year? Because there's a lot of whispers around the league that Giannis has really challenged his team, his teammates, his club, that he has really put the screws to them to everybody come back better. Now, the Chris Middleton surgery thing is a little concerning.
That's interesting.
That's a little concerning because really now, it's you and Drew. It's Giannis and Drew now in Milwaukee, which isn't, hey, man, that ain't half bad. Like, I think Drew Holiday's a hell of a player. you need Chris Middleton, and you need him to be well.
You know how like people regard Drew Holiday as a really good defender for his position?
He is, I think, yeah.
That's what Donovan Mitchell needs to get to. Donovan needs to be regarded as like, hey, this guy wasn't a great defender, but now is. You can count on him. That's what he needs to get to.
Yeah, and I think Minnesota's capable of coming out of the West. And the question is, can they beat the best team in the East to win a championship?
Yeah.
I think that'll be.
I don't know, man.
I think they're better than Philly. I want to see what Milwaukee is this year, because if Milwaukee comes out and everybody's a tick better, they're the best team in the NBA.
Yeah.
Because, well, the other question is, what is Golden State? I mean, when you look at the West, let's look at the West real quick. When you look at the West, I think you got to put Minnesota towards the top, right? I think you just, with Rudy there, defensively, they're going to be much better. He makes everybody on the perimeter a better defender. I think Karl-Anthony Towns at the 4, like, okay, you're going to have a tough time getting one rebound against Minnesota. But is Minnesota good enough to win the West? I think they're better than Phoenix by a little bit. I mean, size-wise, Karl-Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert are, in my opinion, I think Rudy can handle DeAndre Ayton defensively. And if he can't, Karl-Anthony Towns can.
The Timberwolves finished 7th in the West last season.
Yes.
So
Correct.
the question is, they're definitely better than 7th this coming season. Nobody doubts that. The question is, how good are the Suns? And really, the Warriors and the Grizzlies are the two teams that are going to decide the Western Conference, in my opinion.
Without making this KD trade, and I wonder, this will be interesting. This will be interesting to me. Without making this KD trade,
yeah,
and you paid DeAndre Ayton $133 million. I don't think DeAndre Ayton finishes the year with the Suns. Unless something dramatically changes between him and Monty Williams. I can't see that. If we're let's do it just based on today. Today, I think Minnesota's better than the Suns.
Okay.
The team that I don't have a firm grasp on is the Golden State Warriors. How good are Wiseman and Kuminga going to be this year? Because I got to tell you, Kuminga looks like a stud. His body looks better in Summer League right now. Now, it's only been 10 days or whatever, or a couple of weeks since they won a championship, I guess. He looks better to me. And granted, it's Summer League. I'm not even concerned about what he's doing on the floor. He looks like a better player. James Wiseman was already an effective player at the NBA level. You still have Steph, Clay, and Dre. I mean, like, you have this triumvirate of talent there. I don't know how good they're going to be. I think if they're at their very best and Kuminga and Wiseman stay healthy and contribute, I think they're the best team in the NBA.
Yeah.
I think they are.
Yeah. I think that there's no defense for Steph Curry. There's no defense. And I think
can, not to cut you off, but can Kat and Rudy be on the floor at the same time against the Warriors?
Well, that's what I was going to say. Like, I don't know. Just because he's wearing a different uniform doesn't mean that Rudy Gobert all of a sudden becomes a force in the last 5 minutes of a game. You know?
It's an interesting question. And I think you look at if the Suns are still an NBA contender, I don't know. But when I look at Denver, what has Denver become with Kentavious Caldwell-Pope and Jamal Murray healthy? With Nikola Jokic.
Yeah, it's the first time we've been able to see it. That's the thing. Like, I don't know what they become. I don't know. We have to see who Jamal Murray is coming off the injury. That's the thing. We know who Clay is, but we don't know who Jamal Murray is.
And by the way, let's assume Philly and James Harden and all that works out just fine.
Yeah.
What about Brooklyn? What if Brooklyn, and it's starting to look like Brooklyn's going to have KD and Kyrie and Ben Simmons on that roster? How good is Brooklyn next year? Because would you be stunned if, let's assume KD and Kyrie and Ben Simmons all stay there? Would you really be shocked if they won the Eastern Conference and wound up against, let's say, Minnesota in the finals? That could be fun.
Yeah, I think I'd have to go Brooklyn in that matchup. But
you would?
Yeah.
Man, I think that
they have the best player on the planet, dude.
That'd be incredible. That would be incredible. I don't.
Dude, you're talking about a guy in Kevin
Man.
Durant who almost beat the Bucks on his own. Like, inches
I don't know.
from beating the Bucks on his own.
I think that's incredibly interesting. So we'll see. Pudge NYC says Giannis needs to take his own advice, and he is. He is. Let's see. Brood Wars. Who wants to tell them Minnesota is in the Western Conference?
Yeah, I misspoke and said the Eastern Conference.
Oh, did
It
you?
happens.
I didn't even hear that.
They're in the Western Conference.
I didn't even hear you say that.
Yeah.
Minnesota is in the West.
Yeah.
I didn't think that was in question. Mike Phillips says the Eastern Conference. Okay, so you probably did that.
Yeah, hey, for everybody commenting, I said they were in the Eastern Conference. They're in the West. Okay, we're good.
Suck it.
Jesus.
Justin the Alpha says Anthony Edwards and John Morant understand the brand aspect of basketball. They're both young stars on social media. Ant is in a movie already. I think John Morant totally gets it.
Yeah, he does.
I think John Morant, but he's playing in Memphis. And I think this is where the market thing comes in.
Yeah.
I think Salt Lake City and Memphis, Tennessee are very difficult places to become high-profile stars.
But
you have to
one's
win.
doing it, one's not.
Yeah. Yep, I agree with that. Alex Chacon says, I'm very much good with a rebuild if we get a historic haul for Don. If not, keep him and flip those picks for established talent. I think you're closer to winning.
Why
with Don?
Why all of a sudden are we accepting a rebuild? What's been the change? Why all of a sudden is there an appetite for it? Is that just because you're assuming they're going to trade Donovan Mitchell? Is that what it is? Is it just because you don't think that you can win with what you got back from Minnesota? I don't know. I mean, I'm not good with a rebuild. I'm definitely not okay with a rebuild. I think that there's no reason to rebuild. I think there's no reason to try to contend for the number 1 overall pick in the draft. Because that, to me, is what rebuilding is. If you're going to rebuild, then you need to be a bad team, like a really bad team, for a year and go and get, like, the number 1 overall pick. And then, get on with it, basically.
Yeah, we'll see. I think it's very interesting. I really do. Hullabilly says Minnesota is in the West. Thank you.
Yes, we know.
Thank you. Teddy Wayman says F a rebuild. Okay.
That's what I mean. Like, why is there some appetite for it?
I don't know. Rec One says, I think Don has a Kawhi personality. He likes to show off. To me, he's that guy that doesn't like pretending, and here he's not happy enough to demonstrate that love and communication people expect. Well, there could be something to that. Could be something to that. Pudge says, salute, fellas. Looks like Spida will be in the Garden. I don't know. You think he ends up with the Knicks? I think this is an interesting conversation.
I think he doesn't finish this contract he's on with the Utah Jazz. That's what I think. I think that the Utah Jazz are in an interesting time. It really depends on how Danny wants to handle it. Honestly, it's one of those things where Danny's going to decide the timeline here, and I think honestly, Donovan Mitchell's a championship caliber player, in my opinion. I mean, again, gifted scorer, has some things he needs to work on, but would anyone really be surprised if he was the centerpiece of a championship team inside of 2 seasons?
I wouldn't.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. So that's why I say, like, this whole concept of, like, hey, like, they're actively trying to trade him. I disagree with that. I think that they'll listen to offers, but your offer better be, like, to the moon if you want Donovan Mitchell.
By the way, James says, hello, waving arms over here. Hi, James. Jeremy Bolton says, Booker is incredible, though his kryptonite is mascots. I still think he handled that really well. I think he handled that Bulls thing incredibly well.
He could have looked like an idiot after he handled it on the floor.
Oh,
the way
totally.
He did, but he handled it good after.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Cass Coolin says, DM just needs to date a Kardashian and he'll be okay with y'all. Okay. NY Jazz fan says his persona and brand is a huge part of where his agent marketing manager is failing him. He is part to blame, but the easy cop out is small market. Easy cop out.
I just don't believe in it, dude.
Easy cop out.
Salt Lake, the truth about Salt Lake City is that it's no longer a hidden gem. Salt Lake City is one of the fastest growing cities in the country. Salt Lake City is an emerging market. The excuse is over with. That's just not a thing anymore.
Well, and I honestly, I don't know how much credence there is in it, but there's talk around the NBA that Donovan Mitchell's leaving Ty Sullivan at CAA. But I don't know. There's few better branding agencies than CAA. I mean, you're going to do what as much as you want to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You really are. Gabe Levely says, plus, Luka's got a smoke show for a mom. Yes, he does.
Yes, he does.
Yes, he does.
Dude.
Yes, he does. There is no doubt about that. And again, I understand we have a lot of people that are commenting on this show right now, and we try to get to as many comments as we can. It is clear we are not going to get to every single one. Our long times, man, I appreciate you. And if I'm missing some of your comments, James Knight, I'm sorry about that. James Knight says, Jake, Minnesota is in the West.
I know.
Did you know Minnesota's in the West?
I had no idea. I mean, honestly, I don't actually. So here's the thing. I don't actually do this show. I just kind of show up and make sure everything's plugged in. And then, I don't actually put opinions together or anything.
Yeah, we know that. You're just hanging on to Spencer Morgan's spot.
Yeah, exactly. Spencer Morgan's going to come in and he's going to backtrack everything we've said, and it's going to be great.
Yeah, Thug Duck.
Thug Duck, okay.
Okay.
Quack away, bud.
Thug Duck says, I know someone who knows Mitchell personally, and Mitchell said he knows he's going to be traded somewhere. Okay. Cool, bro.
Yeah.
That's nice. James Jensen says, T-Wolves my second favorite team now. There's a lot of Jazz fans who are T-Wolves fans.
I will say they're entertaining as hell to watch.
Yep.
I mean, you want to watch a fun basketball game, that is a team you watch.
Yeah, I agree. Compass says, Knicks will have okay defense with Mitchell Robinson on the court. Yeah, I think I loved Mitchell Robinson.
Big Mitchell Robinson fan.
In a Bulls uniform. The Bulls were trying, and they just couldn't get it done. I think the Knicks, if they trade for Donovan Mitchell and keep R.J. Barrett, but then again, I just wouldn't give up 6 picks to get Don. I think that's crazy talk.
Yeah.
I really think it's crazy talk. I just wouldn't do that. For me, anyway. Man.
It's a lot, dude. That is a lot.
6 picks on its own is a lot, and then 4 young players. I think you're asking too much. James Knight says, "Oh, good, Monty. I'm just playing, man. Appreciate that."
The problem is with the Donovan trade value thing. Danny knew what he was doing with Rudy. Danny knew. Danny knew that. Hey, if I get this for Rudy Gobert, that just then means that Durant's price went up, Don's price went up, like all these guys' price went up. Danny knew what he was doing.
Yeah. Well, he was
no
pissing
secret.
everybody off is what he was doing.
Yeah.
Thug Duck says Grizzlies are fun to watch. Anthony Cornell says Scott Layden II after Utah screws New York. Great pull. Great pull on that one. Love that, Anthony. Compass says, yes, sir. Read my comment. Yes, sir.
Hey, by the way, if you want your comment read, and I'm not even joking or being tongue-in-cheek, it is great to tip the show, even if that's 1 cent, because what happens is that highlights your comment. It makes it stand out. So if you really want it read badly, just tip, even if it's a tiny tip. That way it'll highlight it.
Just like New York Jazz fan who tipped us $5 and says, let's give Monty and Jake a thumbs up. This show is fire every day. Keep it up, fellas. Appreciate it. Yeah, if you're
Thanks,
here right
man.
now,
Thank you.
Please give us a thumbs up. Appreciate that. Really helps if you hit the like button. It really helps the show grow. So New York Jazz fan, appreciate you very much. Joseph Chavez says, not going to lie, I wanted the Knicks to trade for Donovan, but we got all-stars in our second unit. Same as the first. Danny is dumb if he thinks we're doing this trade. I wouldn't do it. 6 first-round picks. And you got to give up quickly Grimes, Toppin.
But when does Danny Ainge... Here's my thing. When are we going to say, hey, Danny Ainge looks like an idiot for not doing a deal? What's that line? You know what I mean? As far as, what the Knicks are willing to offer, which clearly, it's no secret at this point, they weren't willing to accept what Danny asked for the first time. So that's why I say it's just this fine line. And I absolutely understand why Danny Ainge is doing what he's doing. I don't think he wants to trade Donovan, but I think what he wants is flexibility and assets. And if he can get the right amount, he will do a Donovan trade.
Yeah, I agree with that. Daryl says, Danny ain't dumb. No, he's not.
No,
I would agree with
he's
that.
not.
Cody Strickland, good morning to you, sir. He says, why would Don play for us now that he knows we're looking at trades? I think that's an everyday part of the business. I think everybody is aware that they could be traded. There's just no doubt about that. DJ Lopez says, if Don stays, do the Jazz get him a running mate to replace Gobert? I don't think so. I think if Don stays, you are closer to a championship. But I think they're going to trade Conley. And I think the 3 guys that you're going to see gone are Bojan Bogdanovic, because I think he is in huge demand around the league right now. Mike Conley, and I think Patrick Beverley is going to get traded. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And in fact, I know it's not true, that they're going to bring the camp what they have on the roster now. It's a very incomplete roster. So Danny Ainge is not done dealing. And I think they've got to get bigger and they've got to get more athletic on the wings.
This is what I mean, though. Danny Ainge is a master of this process. This is not his first time, and it won't be his last time. He knows what he's doing. He has a firm grip on, hey, it is, what's today's date? It's July 15th. I have X amount of time to get this roster done. So let's take it easy. Let's wait. Let's play this out. Danny has a good grip on this, and that's why I say I'm more than confident in him.
Yep, absolutely. Teddy Wayman with a $10 tip. Appreciate you, Teddy.
Thanks,
Thank
Teddy.
you. He says, I think Utah has plenty of assets to retool around Don. Bring him back, retool, and if it doesn't work, trade him next year. If you bring him back and you retool and you're not contending in, for a top 5 spot in the West, trade him after the All-Star game.
Yeah.
I mean, it is not. Well, you'd have to trade him before that because the deadline this year is before. the All-Star
you get the
game.
point. I mean,
yeah, Teddy, I think you're exactly right. I think you are exactly right. Gabe Ledley, good morning to you again. He says, I'm sorry, I thought you said even if it's just a tiny tip. Jake speaking from personal experience now.
Gabe, bro.
Hey now.
Gabe, wow.
Hey now.
Man, that was cold-blooded, clean, methodical, and thorough right there,
yes, it was.
bro.
Josh Loverin says Gabe off the top rope. Yes, he is.
Yes, dude.
Clean, methodical, and thorough.
That was savage.
Compass says Leon Rose is trying to do the best possible trade for the Knicks. He is. I think Leon Rose is smart not to trade 6 picks and 4 young players. I mean, that's some insanity.
Yeah.
That's some insanity.
Come on.
Kenai Johnson, good morning, KJ. What's up? He says, can Danny make the Jazz a top 5 team by the end of summer with his picks? He could if he wanted to. But, you listen to Tony Jones at The Athletic. Tony is convinced they're trying to go young. I'm not so convinced they're trying to go young. If they're going to trade Donovan Mitchell, they're going to go young. I think they have 2 paths, and I think they realize that the Utah Jazz can go young by trading Donovan Mitchell. Absolutely. If they keep Don, I think you really have to work much more diligently to get a number 2 option for him. Because frankly, right now, I don't think you have that. And I think if you trade Don, Malik Beasley is a guy that you wind up keeping. Either way, I think Malik Beasley becomes a much more important guy, depending on what you do. I think if you keep Donovan Mitchell, I think there's no doubt that Bojan Bogdanovic has to be traded. I just think, again, I think there's no doubt either way, frankly, that Don and Bogdanovic are not a 1-2 punch.
Yeah, and I think the other thing with Malik Beasley that you have to remember is his time in Minnesota was ended with some questions about his want to and his sort of legacy left with that team. And he's got proving to do. And I think that's why I say I like Beasley a lot, because he's motivated. He's hungry. He's not a guy who is on a big money deal who is just kind of rolling out every day to play ball. Like, he's like, hey, I need to prove and fix my image in the league. And I'd love to have a guy like that on my team who's motivated.
Yeah, I think it's tough to argue against that.
Yeah.
I really do. James Cott says, why not KD to the Knicks? Because I think the Knicks are not a winning franchise. And I think, one, Kevin Durant, I don't know that he would want to go to the Knicks. Number 2, if you bring Kevin Durant to the Knicks, are you close to a championship?
No.
I don't
You're
think
closer.
you are. I don't think you are. Even if you trade 6 picks and 4 youngs, I don't think you are. I think if you bring Donovan Mitchell to the Knicks, are you closer to a championship? I don't think you are. I think that team has a lot more development that they have to do to get to a championship. Kevin Durant has stated unequivocally he wants to win, and he wants to win now. That's why you're talking about Phoenix and Golden State as his 2 most likely destinations. Those teams had assets in Phoenix, have assets in Golden State. And I think if you put Kevin Durant on either one of those teams, they are by far the best team in the Western Conference. So I can't say the same thing about the Knicks, and I don't know. I don't know that Kevin Durant would play there.
Yeah.
Let's keep rolling. Anthony Cornell says, if we have good scouting after everything is set and done, we should not have any excuses in the near future to be good again. Yeah, I would agree with that. If you're going to make a transformative trade like that, you better be good again.
Yeah.
Big Dog O-Town, Jeremy first said, screw it. Trade Donnie for Conover. Bring in Jaren Hall and Britton Covey, and the Jazz are winning a Stanley Cup all day. I agree.
Okay.
I agree.
Okay.
Very good. Big Dog O-Town, a $10 tip. What's up? Danny, a straight gangsta like Jake and Danny knew that Rudy trade would rock the boat. People need to know we got a top 2 CEO in basketball operations.
Shout to Mobamba.
And Danny, I trust. I totally agree.
Yeah.
And somebody said it to us the day that Rudy Gobert got traded. Man, it's interesting to see Danny Ainge actually doing it for the Jazz. Yeah, that's right. It's really interesting to see Danny Ainge actually transforming the Utah Jazz. Like, this is what NBA teams actually do.
You are. I hope everyone realizes this. But for the first time in how many years, the Utah Jazz are the center of the basketball world.
Yes.
Like I understand Brooklyn's got Kevin Durant, but this Donovan Mitchell situation is all over ESPN every single day. For those of you who don't watch ESPN, literally every day they're talking about it.
I would agree with that. Man, a lot of comments today. Appreciate you. Widescreen TV says, nothing beats playing 2K on a Friday night and listening to the Monty Show. Love it, fellas. Greetings
Dude,
from Australia.
Listen.
What's up?
So, dude, like, I get those vibes, bro. 2K, you don't want the game sound. You want 2K, and you want whatever your favorite podcast is. And you know that's us. Let's go.
Damn right.
Let's go. By the way, you're in Australia. James, where's the 4X Gold? Hook it up.
Yeah.
Come on.
Widescreen
Let's
TV
go.
would send us 4X goal if we asked him to.
Yeah.
Doesn't even have to lose a bet. Jordan McDonald says, no disrespect to Mitchell, but I think moving on is the best for both sides. Could be.
Why do you think that?
Could be, yeah. And Garcia, good morning to you. Why not back off 6 picks to get RJ? Because, I don't know. It's interesting. I don't, for whatever reason, Danny Ainge would prefer to just tear this thing down to the foundation if he trades Donovan Mitchell. I was told yesterday that Jazz are not even asking for RJ Barrett.
Because what is RJ Barrett? I mean, it's not like RJ Barrett is some, incredible player. Yeah, he's good. Yeah, he's a solid NBA contributor, but he's a finishing stone to a starting 5. He's not like the guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so that's why I say, like, RJ Barrett, with all due respect to him, he's a good player, but if you're going to trade Donovan Mitchell, yeah, you're damn right. You're tearing the whole thing down. And frankly, when we talk about in Danny we trust or, trusting Danny Ainge, like, listen, Donovan Mitchell is the final piece to moving on from what you knew as the Utah Jazz. Like, let's make sure we're on the same page. It's not Boyan or Mike, or it wasn't even Rudy. It's Donovan Mitchell. You move on from Don, this team is going to be just 1,000% a new team.
Yeah,
That's it.
I don't disagree at all. Scott Zuninga says Gobert to Minnesota, Don to New York, the Jazz to Seattle, Smith and Ainge getting it done.
Wow.
Why is there so much belief that the Jazz will change markets? I probably get a comment a day. And it's one of two things, Jazz to Seattle or Jazz to Vegas. And I would assume, Scott, you're joking, but I just think there's a lot of people who are like, they're going to Vegas. They're going to...
Nah.
Vegas
needs its own new thing.
And by the way, Ryan Smith is a Utah guy. You know what I mean? And Garcia back in says RJ is a young top 3 pick that, yes, can help with the rebuild. Decent start, in my opinion. Is he ever the best player on the best team?
No.
I don't think he is. And that's kind of where I think they set the bar, in my opinion. Compass says, what seed do you guys think the Knicks will be if they get Donovan? Well, who in the East are they better than? Who's the top team in the East right
Miami Heat. 53-29, 2 games better than the Celtics at 51-31.
Well, they're not better than the Celtics with Don. They're not, and are we assuming they give up 6 picks and 4 players?
Yeah.
Yeah. They're not. How do you replace quickly?
Here are the teams that I don't think they would be better than.
Does Don replace quickly?
No. I think Don replaces like 2 or 3 of their guys. I mean, that's how good Donovan Mitchell is.
Offensively, yeah.
I
think Quickly's the star in this conversation that nobody's talking about.
The Knicks last year were 37-45. Behind teams like the Hornets, the Cavs, the Hawks. The teams that they're not better than even after this deal would obviously be the Heat, the Celtics, the Bucks, and the Sixers. Those 4 teams are the class of the East. Then you've got a whole slew of teams. The Raptors, the Bulls, Brooklyn, obviously, with whatever the hell they're going to look like. You've got Washington with the Bradley Beal situation. So that's why I say, I don't know, man.
But if you look at the Knicks and they got Donovan Mitchell, you would be starting RJ, Don, Brunson.
Is Fournier still there? I think Fournier's still there.
Fournier would still be there. And then Mitchell Robinson, like
you'd be good. I don't
you're
know
not
your
great
championship.
though. I don't think your Eastern Conference Finals good. I mean, you're not better than Brooklyn. And if the league stays the same, because I don't think you're better than Brooklyn. I don't think you're better than Milwaukee. And you said Minnesota's in the East, right? So you're no.
Yeah, I think Minnesota actually plays in California.
That's funny.
So it is funny.
That's funny.
It is.
I don't think you're better than Philly. I don't know, man. I think you're probably a mid-table team.
Yeah, your top end is the 5th seed,
and you'd like to have home court advantage. I mean, if you're an average team in the East, are you really a good NBA team?
An average team in the East is a mid-40s win team. Again, the Raptors at 48 wins at 5th seed. The Bulls at 46 at the 6th seed. Like, you're in the 40s somewhere.
And again, I think this is so much guessing because we have no idea what the Nets are going to do. Like, and I'm assuming that KD and Kyrie stay there for the terms of this conversation. You're not better than Brooklyn if KD and Kyrie are there with Ben Simmons. I mean, they're going to be good. You're not better than Milwaukee. You're not better than Philly. Are you better than Chicago? No. With Zach
I don't know. I think
Zach
you're
and
close.
DeMar,
I think
Zach
you're
and DeMar
close,
there.
dude. You're close. Because Mitchell Robinson's better than anything the Bulls have. That's the thing. You have that dynamic, and I think that.
And what is Mitchell Robinson now that he's paid? I think that's a question.
I'm a big Mitchell Robinson fan. I think he's a contributor. I think he's a difference maker. He's very athletic for his size. The problem is, my biggest thing in Chicago is Zach LaVine is always hurt. That's my problem. Zach LaVine has not shown the ability to stay healthy and be a solid contributor. Remember, last year, DeMar, for that stretch, was an MVP candidate for that 20, 30 game stretch where he was just going off and had all those game winners and was just killing people on the post. Like, he was playing great basketball, but Zach was nowhere to be found because he was hurt. So, I don't know, man. I think the Bulls are forever going to be a mediocre team until ownership changes, in my opinion. So, like, I would put, a Donovan Mitchell Knicks team, I would have to say they would be between, depending on injuries and how things work out, the highest I think you'd ever see that team would be a 4 seed.
Bro.
Yeah, what?
They're not better than the Bulls.
Yeah, they are.
No.
Yeah, they are.
And I wanted to confirm the Bulls did sign Andre Drummond. They are, you got to remember that, they drafted Dallin Terry, who is going to be, I think he's going to be a lockdown defender. You added Drummond, so your defense in the middle is better, right? If you look at the very fact that they did not trade Patrick Williams or Ayo Dosunmu, now, would you have been better with Rudy Gobert? Yeah. I honestly, looking at what they've done, the real question is, have the Heat gotten better? And the answer is no, the Heat have not gotten better.
But they're still pretty damn good.
I think the Heat right now are a mid-table team. Depending again, and this is why I'm so tired of the Kevin Durant trade.
Yeah.
Depending on what happens with the Kevin Durant trade, I think you're a mid-table team. Like, I think the Bucks are better. Re-signing Bobby Portis was a huge deal.
Dude, this Drummond thing, though, real quick, not to go backwards, but my biggest thing with Andre Drummond is he hasn't been a starter in he's played 1 season as a starter.
But he's a role player.
In the last 5.
He's a role player. He's not a guy. Andre Drummond to the Bulls is not a guy you're depending on. Because let's not forget, Vuce is still your starter in Chicago.
Yeah.
Vucevic is your starting center. Which
I like Robinson over Vuce. I think that Drummond could give Robinson some trouble.
I agree, but Mitchell Robinson is not if you add Donovan Mitchell to that team, Mitchell Robinson is going to have trouble getting touches. He's going to be a cleanup guy.
I think, again, not to be argumentative, I think it's different. I think Mitchell Robinson is a better offensive player than Rudy Gobert is every day.
Oh, there's no doubt. There's no doubt. But you have Brunson, you and Donovan Mitchell. Those two guys don't pass the ball.
Here's what I like about Mitchell Robinson, even if he doesn't get a lot of touches, because I think it's a fair point. When you look at games played, this is what I noticed. 72 games played last year. played most of the season, right? And the biggest thing is last season, he's not blowing it out of the water. He's not DeAndre Ayton at 20 and 10. He's not anything huge in the stat sheet. But what he is wanting defensively. What he is athletic. What he is energetic. And I think when you have those qualities, you can develop a guy like that into better finishing ability around the rim or better little things overall. So that's why I say, like, hey, maybe they're not better than the Bulls, but the Knicks are definitely a playoff team with Donovan Mitchell on there.
And I think, and by the way, Compass, thanks for derailing the show.
Yeah, damn it.
But I think here's the other team you got to talk about in the East.
Yeah.
Who and what are the Atlanta Hawks?
Yeah, I don't know.
Because you still haven't traded Capella or John Collins.
Amazingly.
When I think that's coming, because, I mean, the world's only going to wait so long for Kevin Durant.
You can't tell me there's not burnout happening in the league with the KD thing.
I think a lot of teams right now are at the point where they're saying, okay, you know what? We can't wait for this Kevin Durant situation to materialize. The Nets are asking for a lot. We're going to move on. And I think John Collins is a guy that's quite interesting because, again, it was said to me yesterday by a Utah Jazz source who said, hey, we can go one of two ways. We can completely tear it down if we get 6 picks for Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah.
Or we can go and get my guy at the Jazz specifically brought up John Collins, unsolicited. We could go and get a John Collins type deal and contend. And I think that's not too far off for about 10 teams in the NBA.
Why would you not keep Donovan Mitchell, go get John Collins, and run it out there for the first half of the year? Why would you do that?
I mean, John Collins checks a lot of boxes, and you have a lot of picks. He's making a ton of money, though. He just signed that extension. I don't know. I think the Knicks are not done. I think the Nets are not done. I think the Heat are not done.
Dude, I think the whole league isn't done. We're just getting started, but the Nets are holding up the whole thing.
I honestly think that we have been on hold for 2 weeks waiting for Kevin Durant.
It's so annoying, bro.
I think that's
by the
what
way,
it is.
we should characterize this the correct way. We're not waiting on Kevin Durant himself. We're waiting on Marks to get the job done or get off the pot.
All right, couple more because we got to keep rolling. Theme Park News says, Monty, you said Donovan has an air of arrogance, individuality, and I'm better than you. But didn't Karl Malone have those same traits? If so, can those be strengths or weaknesses?
Yeah, how'd that work out for you?
I think Karl Malone was a generational all-star level, MVP level, championship caliber player who also had a generational all-star MVP caliber historic type player in John Stockton next to him. I think Don is on his own. I think that when you look at Donovan Mitchell, absolutely, Theme Park News, he can develop into that. Mm-hmm. You got to put some talent around him. Mm-hmm. You got to put talent around him because at some point, and there's nothing wrong with saying it, Donovan Mitchell can't win on his own. Nobody in this league can.
No.
This is not alpha male wins the whole thing anymore.
Well, I think a lot of people thought it was because of what LeBron did early in his career, and we're past that now.
Yeah, I think LeBron James was, my God, I think he was a completely different player.
But think about how the league has changed, man. Like the days of winning on your own are over. KD can't win on his own. We've seen that. Yeah. LeBron can't do it on his own anymore.
And Garcia says Don and Collins ain't that guy. Donovan Mitchell and John Collins together with some other pieces could be that
savage,
guy.
Dude.
Could be that guy.
Yeah.
Justin the Alpha says, with Mitchell, the Knicks are a 6th seed and can upset teams. I agree with that.
Yep.
I agree with that. Theme Park News says, Jake, it didn't work out. That's my point. By the way, everybody else still wants to point out Minnesota plays.
Yeah, I know. Minnesota plays in the Western Conference. I get it, bro. They play in the East, the West, the Central. I know.
Justin the Alpha says Mitchell is a one-man show in Utah. Yes, he is.
Yeah.
Compass says Donovan becomes clutch in the playoffs, and that's what we need. Not this year.
And that's the other, real quick on this, think about it. What would we be talking about with Donovan Mitchell if he had gotten the ball in the bubble instead of Mike Conley? If he had gotten the ball at the end of that game instead of Bojan Bogdanovic?
Man, I wanted him to take that shot.
What would be Donovan Mitchell's reputation right now if he had gotten the ball in those situations?
But by the way, both of those were good looks. You get Conley in the bubble against Denver.
Listen,
good look.
They were good looks, but ultimately that doesn't matter because Donovan Mitchell didn't take the shot, and he's the guy.
Yeah. And Garcia says Jake shouldn't comment on the 90s Jazz. Just saying why? Because, guy, just what? So none of us should comment on. Okay, well then none of us should comment on the Second Amendment. What are you talking about? We can be students of history. Absolutely. No, it's just because I was in the building for those Jazz teams and the Bulls games. You shouldn't feel bad about that. Justin the Alpha says Kawhi went alone in Toronto in 2019. Oh, come on. Come on.
He carried them, bro.
He did carry them.
He didn't win alone, but he carried them.
Alone.
He carried them.
You know. Josh Loverin says Malone needed Stockton, but the cast Malone had dudes around him. Well, Hornacek, and it wasn't a push-off.
Dude, Malone had more than enough to win. The fact is they didn't get it done. Like, this is... comparing Malone's Jazz team to Donovan's team is just such a ridiculous comparison, in my opinion.
Yeah. Luisito Diaz says, I think it's tough to drive against Minnesota. Golden State can only beat the Wolves by threes. Yeah, well, they do that pretty well.
Yeah.
I think I'd lean towards Minnesota in that series. I would, if it was played today.
Yeah.
Jaden King, that Conley miss in the bubble gives me nightmares. My God.
And that's what I'm saying.
Seriously.
Like, I feel like that particular game, that's the last time, and I'm not exaggerating, that's the last time I feel like we had 50-point Don alive and well for the Jazz.
But you know what it also was? That was the last time this Jazz team was a true contender.
Yeah.
If that shot goes in, do they win the Western Conference? Probably not. The Lakers were very good that year. But boy, you have a good shot, don't you? You feel like you have more than a puncher's chance.
If you get bounced out of the playoffs by that Laker team, you're respected. Hey, you know what? The Lakers are just better than you. Okay, cool. I get it.
Yeah.
I just look at this team and I feel like, hey, we can all play the what if game, but I just look at Don specifically and I say, man, like if he had just made one of those shots, if he had made both of those shots, if he had even had a chance, like, what would we be talking about?
Greg Hawkins says, this is the first time I've seen a show go a full 90 minutes on basketball. Yeah, we should probably... Has it been 90 minutes? It's been an hour and 24 minutes already?
Yeah, dude.
Are you serious?
Yeah, dude.
Hawkins with some reality there.
Yeah,
man.
bro.
All right, a couple more, then we're going to talk football, actually. Let's see. Wow, that was a comment dump. Anthony Cornell says, will Utah ever get an NFL team? Nah, bro. Nah, bro. Luisito Diaz says, I bet Mitchell and Ayton in a Jazz in the coming days. Get back to me if I'm right. They can't because DeAndre Ayton can't be traded till January 15th, and he's got a 1-year no-trade clause. Don't forget that. Jeremy Bolton says, Greg Hawkins, true, better than 90 minutes of ranch and vegan burgers. That's not funny.
That's not nice.
It's not funny.
That's not nice.
Greg Hawkins sends me some of the funniest ranch content ever. Like Greg, you make me laugh when you send me
Is
stuff.
Greg a ranch guy or a blue cheese guy?
I don't think either. Greg is too... See, Greg Hawkins, for those of you who don't know, Greg Hawkins is actually like a movie and TV star in the Philippines. And I'm not kidding. He is. He's refined. Like, his palate is refined. He only shops for Cartier. No, he doesn't. I'm kidding. I'm gonna say that Greg is a honey mustard guy.
Ooh.
And he doesn't eat appetizers. Greg eats hors d'oeuvres.
Hors d'oeuvres.
Blue cheese, baby.
No.
You're a Roquefort, bro?
Break this thing up. We're out of here.
Dude, come on, Greg. Bro.
Wow.
The opposite.
What the hell?
Wow. All right, couple more we need to run through here. You know what? I'm going to save the football conversation because this piece by SI that I tweeted yesterday.
Yeah, we need more time than we have.
I only have like 37 seconds. I want to save that
That's kind of a
piece.
theme for you, huh?
But was that a reference to sex? So you're saying that's a sex reference? You know I'm married. I don't have sex.
Hey,
you know
great. Yeah, fair.
Get used to it.